Thanks for joining us in our third webinar, I think, this year. My name's Tony. I'm the head of customer success here at Lebesgue, and I'm joined by our CEO, Josip Begic. We're going to be your hosts today, and we're going to show you a couple of slides about AI marketing trends and best practices to follow in 2024. All of the data that we're going to be showing today is based on the database of several thousand customers that are using the Lebesgue app, and we are going to be going over the best practices and some of the hacks that you can use now in Q1 of 2024, because I'm guessing that a lot of you and a lot of us are actually dealing with the same challenges, so we wanted to share this webinar with you. That being said, I think we've waited long enough, and let's just dive into what we've prepared for you today. So as a summary, we're going to be talking about a couple of things. We've divided this into 5 different distinct sections, talking all about post-iOS 14 successes that we've seen with our customers, to some of the industry best practices that you should be using as an e-commerce business or an e-commerce business owner or just a digital advertiser now in 2024. So diving straight in, just to give you a bit of context about Lebesgue and our AI CMO and some of the success stories that we've seen a lot of our customers really have great success by using the Lebesgue app, but also using the best practices that we do promote in the app. So you're going to see our use cases having a lot of users really just grow from $30,000 of revenue to over $500,000 in a Black Friday month, and growing their revenue from $3,000 to $60,000 on a monthly level, which is really sustainable, which is something that all of you can do. I truly believe in that. If you're running an e-commerce business, if you're following the best practices, if you're relying on data, you are going to be able to really scale with these advice. Let's talk a bit and just give a bit of an intro and talk a bit about market evolution and what's been happening in the past couple of years. So back in 2020, we were all hit by the iOS 14 update that happened, and where you've really probably seen a big drop in your retargeting ads efficiency. After that, the next kind of big development was GPT-4, which was released in Q1 of 2023. We've had shifting marketing trends. We're having shifting DMARC policy changes that are going to be affecting your email deliverability and the way you advertise via email. And then you have the best practices that you as an e-commerce business should be using in 2024. So diving straight in, really, if some of you have comments, you can always write questions in the chat section, but you can also wait, because we are going to have a QA section after the webinar, so you're going to be able to ask all of your questions and we're going to answer them. But probably a lot of you have really seen a big impact of iOS 14. So if you were doing advertising prior to iOS 14.5, which was released a couple of years ago, really a great thing was that you could basically retarget everyone. So on a website visitor size of around 200,000 people visiting your website, your pixel and the conversions API would track around 70% of those. So your retargeting audience size would be around 140,000 people that you could actually retarget. But after that, and what we're seeing is kind of a disparity between what Google Analytics is telling us and what Shopify is telling you, or what WooCommerce is telling you, how many visitors you've had versus how many website visitors your pixel is tracking. And here you're going to see a huge drop. So less than 10% of your actual website visitors are usually going to be in your retargeting audience that you're going to be able to reach on the retargeting side of things. So what we're kind of seeing is that just retargeting using the pixel is not working anymore. So retargeting is still working, but you can't use just the pixel. You need to implement conversions API. You need to implement other strategies to get to your customers after they've already bounced from your website. So some of them are going to convert, but those that don't convert, you are going to have to use different strategies to get to them. Now, moving on, what we've also seen as a challenge is GPT 3.5, but also GPT-4, which has been released a year ago. What we're seeing in the SEO space is that a lot of the businesses have started using it. So if you're relying heavily on organic content to drive SEO traffic to your website, everyone is doing that now. So you do have really an oversaturation of content in the market. And this is also something that if you're not using GPT to write your content, if you're not using AI to help you write more content to be able to be in front of more eyeballs organically, you should start that today. You should start that yesterday. You should have started that months ago, but it's still not too late to really use all the benefits that OpenAI has given us with ChatGPT. Yeah, Josip, you want to say something?
Sorry, I lost you for a second, Tony. Yeah, so why is this important? This is just like historical context for what you will see next. So it's extremely important to understand that retargeting ads are not working anymore. Pixel data is not enough, and content that you use to drive people to your blog post pages is now much more saturated, harder to break through, and so this is important context to understand how AI is changing e-commerce advertising. So privacy policy is important part of that story. And Tony, sorry, I lost the signal for a second. You can continue.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And now, really, one of the other changes that we've seen with the data from our businesses is that a lot more people are actually using discounts. So if you're counting heavily on just discounting and giving discounts to have customers convert on your website, this has been really a big change between Q1 of 2023 and Q1 of 2024. So what we're seeing is that in 64% of the cases of last year, we've had businesses mentioning the discounts in their advertising, but in 2024, that's gone up by almost 20%. So now we're seeing 76% of the businesses actually already mentioning discounts and discounted pricing in their advertising. So on Facebook ads, on Google ads, they are already mentioning discounts. So even that's a challenge that you do need to deal with and kind of find out how you can stand out in this crowd.
And this is based on like 20,000 brands that we are analyzing through our software. So this is a huge increase. And this doesn't have to be major discount. It can be 10% off first-time orders, 15% off first-time orders, or flash sale. It doesn't have to be a big discount, but we are seeing big increase in usage of discounts in ads and in mentioning of discounts in the ads. This is based on 20,000 businesses once again, so it's not a small sample size.
Yep, thanks, Josip. And really, what kind of this brings us to a conclusion that with all of these things happening, so having retargeting audiences that are a bit inefficient, that are more inefficient than they used to be. People are more used to promotions, and you're going to have probably a drop in organic growth and content saturation because everyone is using AI right now to write content for their stores. What we believe is that emails are becoming much more valuable than they were before. They were always very valuable, but right now this is a strategy that you can use today to really increase the number of impressions that you're going to be having with your retargeting customers. So customers who already know something about your brand and have been on your website. Now, a couple of undervalued strategy. An undervalued strategy is to really capture more audiences via email flows and pop-ups. And again, this is just kind of highlighting the importance of having a direct contact with your customers where you can send them an email without needing to actually pay for an impression on Facebook or pay for a click on Google. You can always be in their inboxes and really engage them with your brand and get them back to your website. Now, why is this important? Because you're going to be bypassing those limitations of the Facebook Pixel and Facebook audience tracking due to the platform restrictions, and you're going to be preventing losing potential customers to competitors and that they found via organic search. How you should be doing this, and really this is the most effective way that we've seen our customers do this, is by really just offering a percentage off on their first order. Everyone right now is used to getting something in return for them leaving an email. If you can afford it, that's definitely around a 10 to 15% discount on their first order from your store once they're leaving their email on your website. And the best performing strategy right now, what we found is that this should be a pop-up that's going to capture a user's email after around 5 seconds of being on your website.
So, Tony, we promised AI advices, and we started with 10% off first-time order. But the important thing here is, again, the context. If you cannot retarget your customers on the website, if you lose 90% of the traffic after the first session, if SEO space is so much more crowded than a year ago or 2 years ago, then each website visit is so much more important to you, and you have to capture 10% of these audiences via the email strategy. So baseline and foundation from everything that's going to happen from now onwards is email, and capturing email of your users, storing them, and then making good email strategy. So this is just a foundation for the future marketing, and it's not out of thin air. It's because of the iOS 14 changes, privacy limitations, and increased usage of discounts that we are seeing globally.
Yep. Thanks, Yosip. What we're seeing from the industry and from the insights, really you should be expecting to see around a 7% sign-up rate on mobile devices and 14% on desktop devices. This is not an average. These are really top numbers that you should be aiming for. So this is going to the higher end of that spectrum. But this is achievable. So getting 7% of all of your mobile visitors leaving an email after a session on your website to around 14% on desktop devices. These benchmarks in terms of open rates with the welcome flow and the campaigns, this is a benchmark. So these are averages that we're seeing from users who have connected Klaviyo to the Lebesgue app. You should be aiming at around 40% open rate in your welcome flow that you're going to be sending to your customers and around a 25% open rate on the targeted campaigns that you're going to be having from time to time. So best practices to have the winning strategy. So AI best practices. You should be using Lebesgue. So you were probably expecting us to show you how you can use the app, and this is the part where we tell you how you can actually hack the email strategy and how you can look at what your competitors are doing and how you can use this to your advantage. So in the AI CMO app, what you are going to be seeing once you connect your competitors, you're going to be seeing everything that they're doing. So we are already doing scraping of their Facebook ads. We're already doing their Google strategies. But what's really been a new release for us has been the email strategy for your competitors. And what we're doing is we're scraping every single email that they're sending after you input them as competitors. And you're going to be getting an overview of how often they send emails, at which time of day, what's the usual kind of difference between the emails sent. And then if you're seeing that these brands are larger than you are, or they're just an inspiration to you, check what they're doing on emails and then replicate it as much as you can. So for all of the emails, you are going to be able to really see a preview of the emails that they are sending. You're going to be able to see a preview. So before you actually purchase these, you're going to be able to see previews and subject lines of these emails. And once you have all of this data, you're going to be able to replicate their strategies. Yes, if you want to jump in.
Yes, of course. So what do you think here? Like it's a numbers game. If you're capturing 1% of your customers on the website as in a sign-up form, and your competitor is capturing 10%, they will get 10 times more leads than you will. And if they're sending 5 emails per week and you're sending 1 email per week, you're missing like 4 other opportunities to capture users' attention. So it's just a numbers game. What is important is to keep an eye on your competitors all the time. As you know, you want to see what part of the day they're sending emails. So that's doable with our software. We see, do they send it at 8 a.m., 8 p.m., 4 p.m., which day of the week they're sending email. Is it like Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, or like Monday, Wednesday, Friday? And you can make complementary, campaign to their campaign, not to lose momentum. Because if you're sending every email at 8 p.m. and they're sending at 8 a.m., they have 12 hours difference, and bigger opportunity to convert customers. We are seeing most of brands sending emails earlier in the morning, 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m., than later in the day. And that's important part, to see which campaigns they're sending. Do they offer promotion? Is it like 20% off? We've seen for some of these brands, campaigns that are not publicly available, like 70% off for repeat customers, or like special offer with each unit. So you can see all of that with our software. And it is a crucial thing in 2024 as emails are just becoming much more important.
Yes. Simply because of that lack of tracking that you're getting from platforms these days. So having a good email strategy, but also knowing what others are doing has been a game changer for our customers. And whoops, sorry, my mouse is really doing weird stuff. So how you should be approaching this is that you should be benchmarking your performance against your competitors. So look at how often they're sending emails as a first point. Then look at when they're sending them. What day of the week, what time of day are they actually sending their email campaigns? And if those competitors are bigger than you, if they're something that you aspire to be, try and replicate that, because they've probably been doing that for a longer time. If you know that they do have good results, if you do see that they're having more brand awareness than you are, then try and replicate everything that you can from them. But of course, in your brand style and in your brand's voice communicating what you want your customers to do. Have an overview of what they've launched as ads in the past couple of weeks. So that's also a thing. Like I've mentioned, you can do that in the Lebesgue app. You can see which ads they're running, when they actually launch them. And this is going to be something that's also going to help you kind of emulate their strategies and know what they're doing, so you can kind of counteract that or do something very similar to it if it fits your brand as well. And interesting enough, again, enjoying 10% off on your first order by Demelier is something that they're doing. So mentioning discounts, this has become standard both in ads, but also in e-commerce websites, just offering 10% off the first order.
This is great. We didn't plan to show this.
Yeah, this wasn't planned.
Exactly what we've mentioned, 10% off your first time order. We are seeing so much more brands doing this, giving 10% off, mentioning that in Facebook ads, mentioning that in headline. That's just a strategy that we haven't seen a year ago, and now it's very, very popular. But it's never just getting a 10% off. You have to subscribe. Code is always welcome 10. You have to subscribe to get the 10% off. So businesses get your email, and you get 10% off first time order. It's a standard now. It's not anymore a hack. It's a standard that anyone expects on the website to see. You might see a higher abandoned cart rate if you don't offer something like this, because people know that on the abandoned cart journey, you will also get 10% off or something like that. So this is basically a mandatory strategy right now. What you want to figure out, is it 10% off, 15% off, or 20% off? And how you should set up your email flows and campaigns after you capture users' emails. So that's where really Lebesgue AI CMO comes in with tons of power, because we can detect flows, we can detect campaigns, and really how frequently businesses are sending emails to their customers.
But funnily enough, you've mentioned Welcome 10 as being a code that everyone uses. I would say it's around 50% of the businesses, just based on my experience, because every single new thing that I want to buy, the first thing that I try in the discount code section is Welcome 10, and then it's brand name 10. It works at around 50% of the cases without me needing to leave an email before purchasing. I actually did that today for one brand that I was shopping from. It was awesome. So just kind of hacking the system a bit. But it works. And also, sorry, a slight digression. So also do keep an eye on promotion frequency and what types of offers your competitors are doing and what's happening in the market. And now, one of the things that you can also do with Lebesgue AI CMO is use our GPT insights based on the data from your competitors, based on the data from the market, and based on the best possible practices in copywriting for Facebook ads. So what you can do is you can really get creative feedback on your ads. So anything that you're currently running in your creatives, you can use the creative feedback feature to get potential improvements for that ad, what you should be doing in your copy, because we're looking at successful aspects of what your competition is doing, successful aspects based on the data that we have in our database, and we're feeding that into our creative feedback feature to really give you the best possible version of your ad. You're going to get creative ideas. You're going to get suggestions on what you should be doing differently in your copy, the tone of voice that you're going to be using in your copy. It's really a strong feature that we've been using. And one of the results that we've shown in our success stories has really been based on that. So we've had one of our users that has improved their monthly results by over 200% just by using all of the strategies that we're mentioning right now. So it is doable. You just need to start doing it, and you just need to start using all of the tools that are at your disposal. And if you're using Lebesgue AI CMO, you're going to have all of that in one tool. You're going to have that in terms of our features, that you're going to be able to completely automate your marketing up to a certain point.
And are we going to show a demo or not today?
We can show a demo, absolutely. This is, again, not planned, but in the creative strategy, really in your creative catalog, if you go and hit the details button, what you're going to be seeing is this. So creative feedback, looking at the copy from this brand. So this is something that you should be looking at. This is, again, mentioning 60% off traditional retail prices and creative feedback. In a couple of seconds, again, looking at all of the data and giving us some general thoughts, potential improvements,
But look, so what is important part here? AI detected that emotional aspect works well in this space based on your competitors' best performing ads and global best practices, and it wrote a new ad variants that incorporates this strategy into the account. And this is direction in which AI is going, just analyzing massive data sets of like 20,000, that's what we're doing, 20,000 brands right now, over $1 billion of Facebook ad spend. And based on those insights, AI can figure out better than average human what are the winning strategies on Facebook ads. So it's not just tactics, like what should be the budget split on different audiences. It's also like creative aspects, strategy aspects. So how to capture emails, how to convert users once they are on your website once they see the Facebook ad. So is it emotional aspect? Is it the discounts aspect? You know, AI is able to detect that better than average marketer. And as you can see here with our customers' results, that can massively impact your business growth.
Yep. Like Joseph mentioned, over 20,000 brands are being tracked, both in the email tracking, but also in the advertising tracking. So scraping of the ads, looking at their strategies, combining that with the data from all of the brands that are using the Lebesgue software to really help our data scientists figure out the best possible strategies for the businesses using Lebesgue to have and to implement in their strategies. And let's just talk about industry best practices a bit. So we've been talking a lot about what AI can do for you. And what we've seen on Facebook ads that's been working best as of March of 2024 is letting Facebook's AI do the work. So what you want to be doing is you want to be using Advantage Plus placements. So these are automatic placements. Don't try to limit where Facebook can show your ads, because you are going to have around a 20% higher ROAS if you're using all of the placements that are available for Meta to actually place your ads. In terms of budget allocation, this is something that we can't preach enough. It's using around 85% of your budget into prospecting audience, so completely cold audiences, and around 15% to your retargeting audiences, simply because you're not going to be able to track everyone that you could track previously, so you don't want to overinvest on the retargeting audience assets. So 85% to 15% distribution between prospecting and retargeting. Lookalike audiences, this is an aspect where you don't want to let Facebook do all the heavy lifting and don't use lookalike audiences. So this is actually an outdated strategy. It's something that hasn't been working in the market, and less than 20% of the businesses are actually using lookalike audiences right now, and the ROAS on these is always lower. What's really important to do is use automatic placements, target as broadly as possible. So if your product can work for everyone in the US or everyone in a particular country, target the whole country, and always optimize for purchase events. This is a mistake that we see a lot of businesses make. They're optimizing for the wrong events. So if you want to purchase, optimize for a purchase. Don't optimize for anything else, because your customer acquisition cost is going to go through the roof if you're optimizing for brand awareness, if you're optimizing for traffic or lead gen. Simply, it doesn't work as well as optimizing for a purchase event does work. And then moving on to the Google side of things, just to give you a couple of hacks here as well. What you want to be doing is you want to be separating your brand and non-branded campaigns. Again, it's a mistake we've seen a lot of businesses make. You always want to make sure that you're not overspending on brand keywords, and that you're not having your other campaigns cannibalize the brand campaign, or have the brand keywords really cannibalize the spend on your non-branded campaigns. So your general campaigns, even with PMAX, make sure you're not doing that. Also, keyword match types. Don't use broad keyword match types. They simply don't work anymore in 2024. My colleague Ivana would probably confirm that if she was a panelist here. Going with phrase matches, but also exact matches, is something that you need to be doing in 2024. Otherwise, Google is simply going to be going too broad. Your cost per click is going to be too high, and you're not going to get the results that you want to be seeing. Looking at your results on branded versus non-branded keywords, what you should be keeping in mind that branded keywords should have around a 10 times lower CAC than your non-branded keywords. So brand campaigns, you still need to run them, but you don't want to overspend on them, and you don't want to have them being too expensive for you. And this optimized for mobile, this really kind of this really is both for Facebook, Google, and your website. always optimize for mobile. A majority of your traffic, I'm guessing around 80 to 85% of the traffic that you're going to be seeing on your website is going to be from mobile devices. So you want to have a mobile-friendly format. You want to have fast-loading pages on all internet-type connections, so not just on Wi-Fi and LTE or 5G. You want to have a fast-loading website with clear call to action buttons that are going to be above the fold and that are going to be easily clickable on small screens. Again,
And
this is something
this is especially important for pop-ups. I've seen tons of brands who have a good pop-up form on the desktop devices, but mobile device is terrible. And what you've seen, you can get 7% sign-up rate on mobile devices, but it has to be big form, very clean to type email name, and you can copy paste the code like welcome 10 or whatever to proceed to the checkout. So it's very, very important to just focus on mobile and to know the benchmarks, like 7% sign-up rate, 3% conversion rate, 15% add to cart rates. Those are typical numbers that you should aim for. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Joseph. And if you're not sure that your advertising is really set up in the most efficient way possible, so if you're a CMO or a CEO of a certain brand and you're not sure whether you as your team or an agency that's doing your ads is doing everything in the best possible way, you can always use the automated audits in the Lebesgue app. So just by looking at your ad accounts and looking at the advertising audit, you are going to see if any of the brands here, if any of the mistakes that we've detected, if any of the best practices are not being followed in a certain account. It's something that you always want to kind of look at and see whether or not you're possibly using wrong bidding strategies. If you're tracking multiple conversions, this is going to give you a quick automated test of what you could be doing better with your marketing strategy, both on Facebook and on Google. And to close this off, I just wanted to give you a couple of key takeaways and actions. We're doing a shorter format today because we want to keep you as focused as possible for this half-an-hour format. What you want to take away from this webinar, from these advice, is that you need to start capturing your customer emails more efficiently if you're not already doing that. So looking at a 7% mobile sign-up rate, 14% desktop sign-up rate to get the best possible retargeting options for your customers. Offering 10% off on your first-time orders has now become an industry standard. It's something that you need to be doing if you can afford it with your margins. This is something that customers have grown to expect. It should be happening in the cart abandoners, but you should also be you should also be getting your customers' emails after 5 seconds of them being on your website. 5 to 10 seconds, anything between that is actually going to work because a majority of your traffic is going to be bouncing after landing on the website. You also need to keep an eye on industry leaders. You need to track their email strategies, their sales frequencies, and what kind of content they're launching in your ads. Because if you don't know your competition, you can't really beat them unless you know what they're doing at what point in time and how often they do sales, how often they send emails. You got to get to their game or exceed it if you really do want to succeed. And then, of course, a couple of content strategy tweaks. Simple content adjustments are going to make a significant improvement to your ROAS. So this is also something that you should be looking at, and you should be looking at that with creative feedback that we can also offer on your creative that's based on over 20,000 different businesses that we're tracking, that we're looking at what they're doing and what their results are on that. So using the power of AI and Lebesgue AI CMO, you really are going to be getting the best possible results with the most up-to-date market strategies and best practices that we can offer. And with that, I want to thank you, and I want to open up the Q&A section. So any questions that anyone might have, now would be the time to write those in the chat. And we're getting some. Joseph, do you want to take a couple of these maybe?
Yes, can you read the questions for the audience and I can answer?
Yeah. So John's asking, so you suggest writing blogs even for e-commerce businesses? My short answer is yes. Josep's longer answer is yes.
No.
And
no, it's no.
It's no?
It's not a one-size-fits-all strategy. Writing blogs is not good for every brand. If you have a successful Facebook ads that are converting users and you have a good product margin so you can run Google ads on specific keywords, you should do Facebook ads and Google ads. 70% of your conversions should come through one marketing channel. If that's not blog posts, if that's not SEO, don't even try to do SEO, what you're good at, you can be even better. Don't try to spread yourself too much. SEO is already, a very, very condensed space with tons of competitors. It's going to be hard to make a breakthrough if you didn't run blog posts yet. You don't have a big success with that. SEO is better for B2B brands and for businesses where product costs over like $1,000, $500 with long tail keywords. That's when you should invest into blog posts. But if you're selling like $20 laundry, laundry or household products, or like cheaper products under $100, $150 average order values, you don't have to do the blog posts. You should just focus on Facebook ads, capturing emails and converting users through those channels. Tony, that makes sense?
Yeah, it does. It actually does. Cool. Also a question, is there a quick way to understand if a competitor is doing email marketing well or just sending a lot of emails?
Yes, I think there is a quick way to this. If a competitor is doing sending a lot of emails and they're bad, he's not a good competitor. That company won't exist anymore. So, I think you can just use a common sense. If you get like 20 emails per week from a competitor and emails are bad, then it's a bad strategy. But in most cases, people are not sending 10 emails if those emails are not good, So, and if they do, if emails are not good, they will end up in the spam folder. So as long as you're receiving like 3 or 4 emails per week from your competitor, emails do not end up in the spam folder, those emails are good. And you can see that with our tool. So our tool detects if a lot of competitor emails are being labeled as spam or being complained about. So you can detect that with our software. But usually what we've seen as like a rule of thumb, if someone is sending emails and emails look good, then it's a good email strategy. You don't have to complicate more than that.
And Josip, when you say when emails are good, you're not just talking about content. You're also talking about good performance, right? You're not going to send 20 emails 20 emails a week or 5 or 10 emails a week for a longer period of time, unless you're actually seeing some performance out of it, right?
Correct. One nice strategy, for email marketing that people don't know about is follow up to non-openers. So once you send an email, you can wait 24 hours and send that same email with slightly different subject line to people who did not open the first email. If they haven't opened it in the first 24, 32 hours, you can just send another email to those ones who didn't open it to boost your revenue, especially for time-sensitive campaigns like flash sales, weekend sales, or similar promotional events.
Cool, thank you. And next question is, with ongoing changes in privacy regulations, how can you effectively use data for personalized marketing without actually infringing the user's privacy?
Okay, this is a hard question. I think there isn't an easy and obvious way. You don't have to personalize stuff. You have to do things that work on average. So you don't want to micro optimize 1% of your audiences and have like 5% conversion rate on them. It's better to have 2% conversion rate on 100,000 users than 90% conversion rate on 10 users. So I think you will, as privacy is becoming bigger and bigger problem, you won't be able to easily segment your customer to make a personalized campaigns. You should focus on your products, what you are offering, what you as a brand stand for, and focus on executing Facebook ads, Google ads, email marketing properly. Having a good landing page, easy checkout flow is much more important than doing micro optimization of audiences and segmentation.
Awesome. Thanks, Josip. Now, Nadia is asking, how can small businesses with limited budgets compete with large corporations in utilizing AI for marketing? Yeah,
I think this is a good point to mention our software again, because you can look what big corporations with big budget are doing. And with Lebesgue, you can track like 2 or 3 or 4 years of data of your competitors, and you will see strategies that have turned off, like Facebook ads that did not work well, emails that did not convert people, and you could just handpick what worked well for your competitors. We even have a neural network that estimates performance of your competitor ads. So I think this is a key part of the future strategy, and you can just, look at what bigger brands are doing and not make their mistakes. So you can be like 50% more efficient just by not doing what they're doing, So, and again, focusing on 1 or 2 marketing channels will probably work for you up to like $2 or $3 million monthly revenue or something like that.
Cool.
So you have something to add on my comments?
No, I agree with you. But also, larger corporations, yes, they are using AI, but AI these days is not super expensive. So, for the pricing of the Lebesgue app goes from $59 to $79 a month. That where you can still utilize all of the AI strategies that the big corporations are also using, but with the added benefit of having a lot more data than they have just looking at their accounts.
Mm-hmm.
And Nick is asking, how often should we reevaluate our marketing strategy to stay ahead of AI advancements and market changes?
Yeah, good question. I don't know, quarterly, so I think you don't have to overcomplicate. You have to focus on execution. So executing a strategy for 3 months, being sure what is working, what is not working, and then making a change on the top of that is, I think, the winning strategy. So, quarterly check-ins on the global trends and best practices are probably not. Yeah.
So once a quarter.
Yeah.
And we also have someone asking, do you suggest targeting more than one countries at the same time? Talking about like 10 countries at the same time.
This is great question. I'm really happy someone asked that. If you're targeting US, you should target US separately. Then the next batch is probably Canada, Australia, UK, that you can combine it as a one country, as a one campaign. And then you can go further with optimizations of specific regions like France, Germany, local European markets. Don't combine US with other countries, because US has completely different purchase behavior compared to, for example, Canada. So Canada has 50% lower cost per 1,000 impressions and 60% lower conversion rate on average. So separate US with everything else. I think a decent setup is US and rest of the world. And then within the rest of the world, you will see some better markets. We're seeing good results now in Australia, Singapore, those Asian markets, but don't combine those with the US. Very good question. And similar for Google Ads too, I would say we prefer more detailed and granular structure on Google Ads, where you have different campaigns for Europe, different campaigns for Australia, different for non-US regions. Yeah, good question.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. That's Joseph. That's all the questions that we got today so far. If anyone else does have a question, you can always ask it right now. You do have our email address, so it's info@lebesgue.io, so you can always send a question. And we just got another one. I know shopping habits are not advanced in Balkan countries, but I will start to promote a Montenegro-based company. Any suggestions? Yeah, like if you're an e-commerce business, I would go ahead and say use everything that you can from Facebook. So really don't do lookalike audiences. So even in Montenegro, you want to be using Advantage Plus placements and you want to be optimizing for the purchase event. And this is still all going to remain true. So people everywhere right now, especially after COVID, they're using e-commerce and they're shopping online more than they used to. And I think that even in Montenegro, that's still going to be the case. So you can still use the same strategies that we're promoting for all of our other e-commerce businesses. And if you still haven't, I'd recommend going to our blog post. So Lebesgue.io and reading a lot of our blog posts that are going to help you set up your campaigns really efficiently. I think that would be a good starting point. Of course, look at what different businesses in the Montenegrin market are doing as well. But that would be my advice. Josip, you're probably going to have other comments.
Yeah. One rule of thumb that we like to go for is if your average order value is lower than $150, you should do Facebook ads. If it's more than $150, you should do Google ads. So that's like the baseline concept. If your product is more expensive, you want to target detailed keywords that people might be searching for. If it's lower tiered product in terms of price, Facebook ads will work good for you. Especially this region, so Montenegro, Europe in general is much cheaper for Facebook and Instagram advertising than the US. So you might try to try like Facebook ads in this region, definitely. Yeah.
And that last shot was from me. So If you're going to be having any questions later on, if you want a direct point of contact with Josip and myself, you have our email addresses. So it's going to be Josip@Lebesgue.io and Tony@Lebesgue.io. We'd love to connect. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Any comments you might have on the webinar, we're also going to appreciate those. And like I've mentioned, the video being sent out tomorrow, as well as the PDF of all of the slides that we went over today.
One thing, so this webinar fits well the previous webinar, so we really tried not to overlap with the content. So if you want to hear more about Facebook ads, Google ads best practices, previous webinar was really good covering that part. Yes, and then the next one is going to be more about the different creative aspects that you can utilize on ads. One thing that maybe I was actually expecting to see is being asked about mid-journey, and not just like copywriting segment of AI, but like image creation segment of AI. We did try a lot of that. We have our R&D team that tried to execute like mid-journey and DALL-E 3 algorithms, but we are not seeing yet that level of technology being ready to, you know, incorporate into Facebook ads, email marketing, Google ads, or website. So what is our focus as a company is copywriting right now, really figuring out the copywriting aspect of the advertising game to impact your business results. And yeah, we are looking forward to like next generation of mid-journey and DALL-E algorithms, but those algorithms are not yet ready to be used on Facebook ads, Google ads,
to complete
Shopify marketing in general. Yeah.
Okay. With that, I'm leaving you to continue your working days. Thank you all for joining us. Hope you learned something new. Expect an email from us, and hope you all have an awesome day.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.